This was 4 days
Well,
work.
before we actually start the final ritual, and we of course want to leave time for our final dance together, let's just be here together in our sacred circle for possibly the last time together, all of us together, and simply rejoice in each other and the mystery of ourselves interlaced with the mystery of all of the each others. Each of us and the others all become each of us. I thank you for your trust, for your support, for the magic you have brought to this circle, each of you in your own way, your own identity, your own creativity, each of you with your own story, each of you bringing energy from many different places in this land, and the reverse of that, now carrying energy from New Mexico back into your sacred spaces, wherever they may be. I hope that those of you who have come to New Mexico for the first time will celebrate your memory of this sacred place. Those of us who live here know that we are blessed to live in this sacred land that has been prayed in, prayed over, and continues to be prayed in and prayed over for a long, long time. Is still inhabited by the bloodline lineage of the people who aboriginally were here. It's a very powerful energy for that reason. That the same feet, the same bloodline walks the land. So, Holy Mother, we thank you for your revelatory presence in each of us, through each of us, of your own beauty, of your own energies, as we have freely received and freely given to each other. May the connection remain, however that may be. May what you have heard here, been touched by, seen other people do, heard what other people say, pieces of their lives, be written deeply in each of your hearts, so that we carry each other into the future, because we carry each other in our memories, and memory is always present. Memory is always, according to, or in one of the lines in T.S. Eliot's poetry, and it's always time past, but of course it's always time present. So, again, blessed be our being together, blessed be our going forth, and the energies that we spread from this center. I'm going to leave you with a final Crow Mother blessing, and I ask you to remember her in this land, and I think you will, and I hope that you will remember some of the images you saw so deeply that they fell deeply, and that you will carry some of these images out into your own work and into your life, and they may remain in your prayer life. Let's pray for each other each morning when we say our prayers, when we take salt and take any food we wish to take ritually, drink a glass of water, light a little fire. You know, you don't have to light a fire. All you have to do is strike a match. Just strike the match. Just, put some water on your face, on your head. just touch the fire in the water as part of your beginning each day. The simpler these little gestures are, the more likely are you really will get into a rhythm of blessing in this way. After all, we go through the ritual of washing our face and brushing our teeth several times a day. I mean, why not just remember fire and water in a ritual way too? And when you say your prayers in the evening, however you close the day, think of her lap. Think of being in her lap. Again, whether you're sleeping or entering into the final sleep, and you are in her arms. So awaken the day with thanksgiving and lay down the day of thanksgiving. And how the time in between, how can it not be blessed moment by moment? Pick it up, lay it down, pick it up again. Rejoice in the rhythm of the sun rising and the sun setting and the moon rising and the moon setting. Rejoice in the sounds of nature around you, even if you live in busy cities. Usually hear a dog barking or a bird singing somewhere. Just remember our interconnectedness, and that we have met and celebrated these mysteries together, for which I am grateful, and I thank you again. Amen. Now, if anyone else would like to offer a final prayer before I start the blessing ritual with Crow Mother's cloth. This is always very powerful for me because with my hand opposite her claw, it's like just as much energy is coming into me from her as is going into you. So it's just that's why I have to do it silently, because and one of the wonderful things was that the air was very silent, but when I got to Belinda, she started fanning. She immediately pulled in this fabulous breeze. It was just like whoosh, came right in as soon as she started fanning. It was just very, very, very sweet, and I love the silence of the experience. So we're all bound to her now. We're all laced together at this blessing. You'll never look at another crow the same way. I go out in the morning, good morning, mothers, good morning, my mothers, good morning, and run out and say, good morning, my mothers. Oh, that's, I put it there so that he could have a good lick.
Okay.
I usually lay her wing there, but it's just fine for her wing to still be to be held.
Meinrad, would this be a good time to ask you a question?
Oh, please. We're just going to be here together now. And we'll, a little bit before 5, we'll have our dance, our last dance together. And
just for today.
Well, of course. Thank you, Barbara. Of course, just for today and always in our memories. So it's, yes, please.
Okay. I wonder if you might make some comment to us about your experiences in the passage to cronehood. I hope that's okay with you, that I see you as a great crone.
Absolutely. Oh no, I value it. I'll tell you the sort of history of the experience. When I was having my 50th birthday, I had scarcely moved to this land, and I wanted to celebrate my 50th birthday. No, it's okay. It's okay. I let things happen as they're going to happen. And if he wants to have a gnaw on her claw, what could be more wonderful? Anyway, I was scarcely here. I do want it to stay in the circle, so if he starts dragging it out of the circle, just, bring it back. And my 50th birthday was approaching, and I wanted to mark, I needed to mark the place. I needed to mark my land, my place that had been given to me. And shortly after I moved here, when I was still moving around, and I can't tell you what that land looked like, or maybe I did tell you, it looked like an extension of the county dump. It had been rental property for about nearly 50 years. No one had ever taken trash to the front. It was just dumped. It was everywhere. It was a wasteland back there. There wasn't, apart from a weed, there wasn't anything growing, there were no trees, there was nothing back there. There were, of course, the great mature cottonwoods, which had been there for a few hundred years, of course. And there was this funny little broken down place. I mean, my friends thought I was out of my mind, absolutely out of my mind. It was nothing more than a broken down little 3-room shed, really. And, of course, to me, it was like paradise, because all I saw were those great trees that I would live under and would protect me, and near the river and so on. I found, sort of intermeshed in this fence, a crow that had got caught and, of course, in flailing, just choked itself to death. And it was still, it hadn't happened long before I found it. And so, you happy girl? Oh, that's a nicer stick. The man can't get through. The man can carry the stick around. This is very frustrating. Safe trick. I knew I needed to honor this crow. So I found a place in an exit between sunrise and sunset on my land, and so on. And I chose a place to bury this crow. So I very carefully untangled the crow and buried it. And that was a while before my birthday. I mean, a few weeks, a few months, I can't remember, it doesn't matter. I thought, oh yes, for my 50th birthday, I will build an altar over Crow's body. And, oh, that's fine, let him finish the cornmeal. In the process of thinking about this and praying about it, I thought, oh yes, I'm going to make it a fire altar. So that's the fire altar that's there. Now, I had the trees worked on last autumn, and the original estufa, the original stove, got broken. The workmen were very upset. I said, hey, things break. Anyway, so the little pot is inside. I bought a littler pot to set it inside what had been the original pot. So I'm very happy with that arrangement. And it's then that I began doing my morning ritual of having a little fire burning when the sun came over the mountains. And I also like to do this because it makes me very aware of the sun, of the time, because it isn't like 7 o'clock every, should it be so simple, it's like 7 o'clock every morning. So I've got to be aware of what the sun is doing. And so during the cold half of the year, that's where I make my fire in the morning. So then my birthday was approaching, and somebody came and said, we want to know if we can do a croning ceremony for you. And my response was, a croning ceremony? I'm not a crone. Well, some people have it at 50, and I said, well, I don't know, I'm not having a croning ceremony. I felt nowhere near what that, and I didn't even know what that energy was because I wasn't there yet. And, but anyway, we had a little 50th birthday party. We had it around the fire. If you can believe it, 12 inches of snow we had on my birthday. It's never happened before, it hadn't happened, 12 inches on my birthday. It was fabulous. My sister surprised me by flying in from Minneapolis and Milwaukee, which was a very sweet surprise. And it really was a surprise. It was kept a secret. I'm telling you, this is leading into. But then I guess because of this, not wanting the veil of cronehood, apparently I hurt someone's feeling because she had a shawl all picked out that she was going to lay over me or something. And I thought, well, that's her story, that's not my story. But I started thinking about it, and I could never find organically a story to hang this on. And some years passed. Years passed. And I was approaching 60, and I thought, well, maybe this would be a good time. But again, I did not feel the energy. And one autumn, maybe even the autumn before my 60th birthday, I can't remember, I haven't much of a garden, because out here you don't want much of a garden unless it's, natural landscaping. But I like to grow a few little flowers and, basil. And so, but I grow things on a very small scale because of the water situation. Anyway, I was putting some things to bed and kind of raking leaves, etc., laying down some fertilizer, etc. And I came to, what were those flowers? I can't remember now. Maybe they were zinnia heads. Anyway, something about them made me sort of just stop and consider. And I suddenly understood utterly in my whole being, oh my God, this is the image of a crone. And then I realized that all along I wasn't able to name the energy because or take the energy to myself because I couldn't name it. No, at that moment, that autumn, whenever it was, I named it, and this is what I'm going to give you. This for me is what crone energy is. The seed is planted, you nurture the growth, it matures, it starts setting its buds. The buds very, very gradually, swell and swell and swell. Finally, each bud opens into a young flower and then a full flower, and it's like this, and then of course it starts the whole declining process. And and the petals fall off, and even when after the petals fall off, the stone is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. Even then, it's not crone. It's like practically a full year later, then do you see lying on the ground this seed pod, which finally has gone, which is so dry and so old, and the seeds are so dry that the pod itself just does this, and the seeds just spill out. That's a crone. That's when you are so ripe and so at a place in your own life when you think to yourself, if I fell asleep tonight and never woke up, I will have done what I came to do. Then you're ready to accept your crone energy. And the seeds, it's nothing you plant, they simply fall out of you. And I think that's the only image that's ever, it has nothing to do with someone wrapping you in a purple shawl or something. You've got to experience it somehow in your own story. And that's why I could never name the energy, because I hadn't fully, it's just that spilling of the seed. We've got to be at a point where we're giving it all away. And this is the image when I've told you that story about Manuel coming out of a journey very fiercely. Sometimes he's coming out with wonderful smiles on his face, saying, oh, it's such a thing to give you. Other times he's, frowning, and this was a frowning time. And he said, this is when he said, you're not accepting your role as priestess. And I said, Manuel, I don't know what you're talking about. And then not long after that, Connie and I got Erdahaus, et cetera, et cetera. So then I had a place, because my immediate response to him was, to do holy work, you need a specific holy place. And all of my life, people have been saying to me, especially after conferences, oh, can I come be your assistant? Can I come do this? Can I come be in your studio? And I said, don't even think about it. No way I'm having anyone in my studio. I'm probably the only artist in the world who doesn't have an assistant. Because they're very, they're very handy. And sometimes I can get, irritated at my own orneriness. But I just know I could not have somebody saying, do this, do that, or I just think I'd waste so much time telling people how to do this or that. The old thing about you may as well do it yourself because you're, et cetera, et cetera. So, now I've lost my train of thought. And when, apropos of that journey with Manuel and him throwing this at me, and then suddenly Erdahaus being at least the possibility of a reality, I thought, oh my God, now I've got a place where I can give it all away. And that's when I started these sessions, because this is truly what I try to do. I try in every way to simply tell you stories or whatever you want to ask, whatever you want to know. I simply just whatever you find that has fed you, you must feed others with. We're all doing her work. We're all doing it in a million different ways. And I've been able to do it in a perhaps more centered, directed way because this is my vocation. I haven't been blessed with the vocation of raising children and all that means in your lives. Even the complexities of relationships. I mean, I have been literally pulled away from that and given another job. And it's just manifested in an entirely different way. I'm simply mothering in a different way. But that understanding came to me. So that's the answer to your story. It isn't just, you know how voguish these things get. Oh, croning ceremonies, and it's just, I just think, God preserve me from, all of this, people write books. Okay, this is what you do for this solstice. You get these many roses and these many, this little, it's like if you're not doing ritual if you have to be reading books about how to do ritual. This is ritual. You get together and you be together and you tell stories and you praise the spirit of the Lamb, the spirit of each other, the spirit of the giving and receiving, the stories of your children, your heartaches, your loves, your pains, you just be with each other. And that's why, in fact, because when I started thinking about this, I thought, well, I guess, I'll do weekends, because weekends, obviously the weekends are when people are free. And then I thought, no, because that's what I go away to do, and I've known from the beginning that weekends aren't enough somehow. I arrive in a place for Friday night. It's all day Saturday, and it's usually partially Sunday. So there's really only one day from the beginning of the day to the sort of end of the day, where, he's found a big apple. He's got a volleyball. He's got a soccer ball. He's stolen an apple from somebody. Or is it a ball?
No, it's an apple.
It's an apple.
It's my bag again.
Your dog is quite magic. Quite magic.
Always in there.
He could certainly teach my dogs a few things. So this is what I command you, like Jesus said, he threw out these commands. I want you to give it all away. You can start now. You don't have to wait till you're a crone. You just start planning on how you're going to give it all away. And you'll have opportunities from now, begin now, in whatever way you could do it. Start giving pieces of your life away, things that you've learned, stories that you, experiences, pieces of yourself. This is ultimately what we give to each other. We give pieces of ourselves to each other, don't we? Well, my dears, ready to dance?
Well, before we dance, I just want to say words cannot express my gratitude to you.
Thank you, Joanne.
And there are lots of things I could say, but your comments about my picture with my grandmother is such an incredible gift. It's really more than I can handle in a way, but I'm going to work on it. And it's the kind of gift that money cannot buy that gift.
You must all work on your thrones. The throne you sit in, and your body, the throne, receiving who comes into your throne and to sit in your lap. To sit in your lap psychically, spiritually. Bless the people who come to sit in your lap. Give them here, listen to them, give them what they need, and send them on their way. Don't let them cling to you. Sometimes needy people have not learned how to receive a blessing and then go away strengthened by it. They think if they stay longer, it's going to be a bigger blessing or something. So you've got to be able, be strong women, and be able to say no when you mean no, and but always to be there saying yes when you know that whatever you say or do could help that person move deeper into their own interiority, which is what we're talking about. We are soul people doing soul work, and this is how we help other people doing their soul work. Would that we could give these gifts without, thinking about giving children cars and all of these horrible machines that isolate them and turn them into, well, I don't know. Sorry, I shouldn't get off on that. All of you are going to be grandmothers very soon, if you're not already grandmothers. And maybe you're the ones who can take away these Game Boy, or these all these games that they play that seem to just perpetrate the violence in our society. So, let's not end on a negative note. Sorry I even introduced that. But, well, I wish all of you, what do I wish for all of you? I wish for all of you great joy. Thank you. In your journeys. Yes. And it's all we can wish for each other, joy in our journeys. And to stay purposefully within that role, inside that gift that you know you are giving to society, and first of all, inside your families. So, and keep on praying for just the right person to be on this property. Because I believe so utterly in great clouds of communal prayer. You know my need and Rosemary's need, and I know that it will happen, and I thank you for your help in this place. And may we merrily meet, whenever that may be. So let's have a dance.
You're right. Listen to her singing to you.
You must be a dog.